Jack Hughes, wash, rinse, repeat. Expectations for him going into the season, always high. He performs well. Then all of a sudden, he gets injured and misses significant time. Something's got to change. But how do you go about it? We have a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Steven stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play announcer, Devils Wire Pucks Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. I've done season reflection episodes on Nico Hischier and Jesper Bratt. I think it's time I share my thoughts on Jack Hughes and his 2024-2025 season. He did pretty good. Unfortunately, it was short-lived due to him getting season-ending shoulder surgery for the second straight year. In the first segment, I will share some stats and also talk about my overall thoughts on Jack's performance. Then in the second segment, we will hear from General Manager Tom Fitzgerald as he discussed Jack's injury history and how the Devils go about it in the future, because let's be honest, we can't continue this same song and dance routine where we have big expectations for Jack. He does really well, and then all of a sudden he suffers a major injury, needs surgery, and he's done for the rest of the year. We can't continue to do this. It can't happen if the Devils really want to capitalize on their window to be successful. And then in the third and final segment, we will actually talk about a coaching change made by the Devils. No, it does not involve Sheldon Keefe. Remember, the Devils parted ways with Ryan McGill and Chris Taylor recently, and I think the reason for that was to give Sheldon the chance to hire his own personal guys, because McGill and Taylor were around during the Lindy Ruff and Travis Green era, if you want to call it that, but we'll talk about it to close out today's episode. All right. Before I talk about Jack Hughes' performance this season, let's go back to last season, 2023-2024. What happened? Well, Jack got off to a really good start. After October, he was leading the NHL in a lot of categories. He was really good on the power play. There were even talks about him potentially being a finalist for the Hart Trophy come the end of the year. I know it was very early in the season, but that's how good Jack was performing. The campaign was led by former Devil PK Subban, who is now an analyst for ESPN, as you guys might already know. PK always goes to bat for the Devils. He treats Jack like a little brother. He always gives the Devils a big spotlight, whether or not they deserve it, because I saw his playoff bracket, and he predicted for the Devils to reach the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm just like, PK, I love you, but that ain't happening. I don't care how good Jacob Markstrom performs. That was not going to happen. That was out of the realm of possibility, if you ask me, especially with how shorthanded the Devils were. But digressing a little bit, you get the point. PK loves the Devils, and he was giving his 2-cent opinion as to why Jack deserved more MVP recognition. But on one faithful day against the Blues in St. Louis, Jack took a bit of a tumble. He went crashing into the boards, and he missed some time. He ended up returning a few weeks later, but come January, he had another freak accident, this time against the Blackhawks at the Prudential Center. I think we all remember that infamous night. Remember when Brendan Smith laid a big hit on Connor Bedard Bedard was hurt so bad that he actually missed some time. And I think Smith was like the most wanted man in Chicago. All hell broke loose. It was crazy. But a lot of people forgot that Jack Hughes also got injured that game. He was just like standing, and all of a sudden he fell. He used his arm to break his fall, but it was the same arm that he aggravated early on in the season. And people like me were a little concerned. Once again, Jack misses time. He returns, but you could tell he was not healthy, to the point where the media was asking him, like, hey, are you healthy? Like, point blank. And Jack just nodded his head quickly and said, yeah, I'm healthy. But people were speculating that maybe he needed surgery. And lo and behold, Devils were eliminated from playoff contention. Their regular season was winding down. Jack elects to get season-ending shoulder surgery. And we were all like, yeah, we kind of saw that one coming. But we were just hoping that Jack could come back stronger than ever for the 2024-2025 season. And with the adjustments that Fitzy was making during the offseason, maybe, just maybe, the Devils could make a deep playoff run. Well, Jack had a good year, but once again, it was short-lived. He appeared in 62 games. He had 27 goals, second on the team. First was Nico. 43 assists, second on the team. First was Jesper. Remember, Jesper broke the single season assist record previously held by Scott Stevens. 70 points, second on the team. A plus-minus rating of plus 12, first on the team. 6 power play goals, fourth on the team. 21 power play assists, second on the team. 7 game-winning goals, first on the team. 251 face-off wins, third on the team. That gave him a face-off percentage of 37.6%. Takeaways, 22, sixth on the team. Offensive point share rating, 6.1, third. Defensive point share rating, 2.3, 10th. I just want to touch on that a little bit. Jack made huge strides in his defensive development. Sheldon Keefe used him a lot more on the PK, and you just saw that Jack's defensive game was taking off just a little bit more because that was one of his weaknesses. Jack needed to improve defensively, and slowly but surely, you started to see him in more defensive situations. So just wanted to give him credit in that regards. He had a point share rating of 8.4, third. Expected goals for rating, 52.7, sixth. I think it's safe to say that Jack had a really good year. Unfortunately, he missed about a quarter of the year due to suffering another major injury. What happened? Well, in Vegas, he wasn't so lucky. He got tangled up with Jack Eichel. Hey, funny, Jack and Jack. But anyway, on a more serious note, they got tangled up. Jack goes for a bit of a tumble, goes crashing into the boards, and I knew right away it reminded me of the fall he sustained last year in St. Louis. I even posted it to my social media platform saying, that can't be good. It's the same situation, same arm. He couldn't move it. He was holding on to it. I'm just like, yeah, he might have re-aggravated that shoulder. There were reports coming out saying that the injury might not be as bad as people are projecting it to be. And I was like, okay, that's a positive, but we still don't know how long he's going to be out for. Unfortunately, that report was proven to be false because it was revealed that Jack actually went to Colorado and he elected to get shoulder surgery, thus ending his season. Not even a chance of returning come the playoffs. Wash, rinse, repeat. Great season, unfortunately derailed due to injuries. Jack did not conduct an exit interview. Honestly, I didn't really care either way. Jack's not really the most talkative person when it comes to interviewing. He was in the building because he did greet fans outside because it was locker clean out day. I guess since he hadn't played in a while, he just didn't feel the need to talk to the media. He didn't do one last year either because same circumstance. He had been out for a while, still trying to recover. So honestly, I didn't really care all that much, but I wish I could give you guys some sound bites to play throughout the course of the episode so that way you guys could hear his thoughts on it. But anyway, getting back on track, I love Jack. I think he's a really good player. And I've been talking about it ever since I've taken over this show, ever since I've been covering the Devils. I've said that Jack has the chance to possibly get his name into the running of the Hart Trophy. Could he possibly win it? I don't really know, but I think him getting some consideration for it isn't out of the realm of possibility. But he can never reach his potential because it seems like more times than not, he's dealing with some sort of injury. And he talked about the frustrations on social media when he shared his thoughts and saying that he wants to come back bigger, stronger, whatever cliche you want to throw out there. I'm like, great. I can see he's frustrated. I know he probably sees the media talking about it. I'm sure he's frustrated himself. No player wants to get injured, but something's got to change because, like I said, you can't continue to do this where we have expectations for you and then, unfortunately, you suffer an injury and then you miss some time. The Devils don't have forever. That's my main talking point throughout the course of the offseason. Believe it or not, Nico Hischier only has 2 years remaining on his contract before he becomes a UFA. It just goes to show you time is not always ample. We're going to talk about Jack's approach come next year. We will also hear from Tom Fitzgerald. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats. It helps keep you feeling fuller all day long. Personally, I love the No Shells variety. It's a perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. As you guys know, as a content creator, constantly on the move. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Okay, I played this soundbite in one of my prior episodes when I was talking about Tom Fitzgerald's exit interview, but I'm going to play it again. Here's what Fitzy had to say about Jack's injury, his recovery, and is there a justified reason to be concerned? Here's what he had to say.
Is there any long-term concern with him to stay on the ice and build around him as your centerfold?
Concern that's a strong word. It's not that you don't think of that, but when you have a top player like that not playing, no one plays 100% of the games, but the top guys pretty much play the majority of the games. I'd like to think Jack's shoulder injuries are behind him now, but you never know. I don't go into a roster build thinking, can we rely on so-and-so or so-and-so? Jack knows the work that's ahead of him this summer and where he needs to go from a strength-wise and a body makeup. And, again, it's not just snapping your fingers. There's a process to that, and he's been going through it. And we've seen him grow. We've seen his body mature from his first year, his second year, and here we are 6 years later. He's got that man body, but I don't worry about it. Probably easier to say I don't worry about it than worry about it, meaning because it's happened. Injuries are a funny thing. You just sometimes you have bad luck.
You know what? I don't think I acknowledged it in the episode in which I used that soundbite, man body. That's a interesting way to put it. But on a more serious note, should we be concerned about Jack's injury situation? Because let's look at his history. 2019, 2020, his rookie year, 61 games played, but we all know the circumstances. The year was cut short for the Devils due to the pandemic. They were not invited to the NHL bubble. So I think you could put an asterisk next to that one. The very next year, 2021, he played in all the games, but here's a catch. The NHL only had 56 games that season, once again, due to the pandemic. 2022, he got injured the second or third game of the year, thanks to Jeremy Lawson. He only played in 49 total games. I don't even think he finished the season. 2022, 2023, I would say his best season ever of being a part of the Devils. 78 games played, 99 points, just 1 point short of being the first Devils player in history to reach 100 points in a season. Last year, like I said in the first segment, 62 games, 74 points, cut short due to injury, multiple injuries. This season, same thing, similar numbers, 62 games, 70 points. Look, I'm not saying that Jack needs to play in all 82 games, but look what happened during the 2022-2023 season when he appeared in 70 plus games. That's what I'm just hoping for, because I want to have a lot of expectations for Jack. I really do. But it's just so difficult, like I said in the previous segment. Now, the big question is, what did the Devils do with them? Similar to what Fitzy said, I don't think concerned is the correct term, but it's something you do need to ponder. No, Jack will not be traded. His name is pretty much safe from that sort of discussion. You don't trade someone like Jack. He's a superstar in this league. He's been acknowledged by many of his colleagues, including Sidney Crosby, Austin Matthews. They've deemed him as a superstar and a very good talent in this league. So yeah, I don't think Jack is going to be traded. For any of you who have that mindset, that is an extreme thought, and it's not going to happen. But here's what I will say. Something does need to change. And I think Jack also acknowledges that, because that's why he posted that lengthy message on his Instagram saying disappointment and how he wants to come back stronger. He knows that it's not an ideal position to be in, but maybe it can make him once again stronger in more ways than one. This is something we've been talking about since he was a rookie, which is he needs to get stronger. I think he needs to work on his skating a little bit more, because yes, he's very fast. I'm not saying he needs to work on the basics, but he needs to do something to keep himself from falling so damn much. I get it. It's funny on social media. I see a lot of people tallying the amount of times that he and his brother fall down onto the rink. But as we saw last year against Chicago, it's no laughing matter if he re-aggravates his arm. That can't continue to take place, okay? I get it's comical on social media. People seem to have fun with it, but he really does need to do something. I don't know if it's weight room or just working on some skating techniques, and look, injuries are unpredictable. That's just the reality of them. The past 2 seasons, I would say he's just sustained a few freak accidents, like crashing into the boards because he's trying to retrieve a puck, or just somehow falling without even being touched and re-aggravating his arm. That's just bad luck. I think injuries are so complex. There's no clear-cut solution. But I think if Jack just goes into the weight room, just puts on more muscle, I get it. It's a boring answer, and we've been talking about it for years, but that's really the only solution I got. He's got to do something to protect himself, because he's no longer an underdog. People know that he's a superstar in this league. It's a curse and a blessing. The blessing is that you are acknowledged as one of the best in the league, but the curse is you're going to be targeted. People are going to fear you, so they're going to do whatever it takes to knock you off the puck. In fact, that was one of his main issues when he was brought into the league, which is he was so easy to move off the puck that sometimes he just coughed it up one too many times. People said he was a turnover machine. I think Jack has taken the correct strides in his development. He's a really good player. He won't be traded, but he does need to do something different in terms of his training. And I hope this is somewhat of a wake up call for him. I get it. No one wants to deal with injuries, but it's really the only thing I got, which is just hit the weight room. And if he comes back stronger and a better skater, I'm not saying he is a bad one. I'm just saying, like, all the good players find ways to improve their games. Even people like Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby or Austin Matthews, they're never satisfied. They're always trying to add to their game a little bit. They're adding to their repertoire. And I expect Jack to do the same. Okay, to close out today's episode, let's talk about Brad Shaw. He was recently hired to join Sheldon Keefe's staff. Remember, the Devils decided to not renew the contracts of Ryan McGill and Chris Taylor. Ryan McGill was a good defensive coach for the Devils because the Devils changed up their playbook. Instead of being a run and gun team, they became more of a defensive structure unit. Like, their defense improved all across the board. Their offense took a bit of a hit, but I think one of the reasons why their defensive numbers improved is, one, they had better goaltending, and two, you saw players like Jonas Siegenthaler, Jonathan Kovacevic take positive strides in their development. So, who is Brad Shaw? Well, my colleague over at Pucks and Pitchforks, Neil Villapiano, who is also the host of Devil's State of Mind podcast, recently talked about it in one of his articles. I will read you a snippet of it. If you want to check out the full article, I will leave a link to it in the description. The Cambridge, Canada native is considered by many around the league to be one of the top tier assistants in the NHL. He's also very well respected among his peers and former players. Shaw not only has worked under John Tortorella in Philadelphia, but with the Columbus Blue Jackets as well. He has a reputation for developing defensemen well and generating a lot of success on the back end as a whole. Shaw works well with guiding young defensemen to take the next step in their development. An example is Jamie Drysdale in Philadelphia, who got better and better last season as it progressed. The biggest example of his impact is with Zach Werenski, who is currently up for the Norris Trophy. Someone mentioned that Werenski was able to reach his potential and even go above it because of what Shaw was able to do with him when he was first coming up in the league. When looking at the Devils' defense, there's a major opportunity for him to do the same thing. You got players like Shimon Nemec, Jonathan Kovacevic, Luke Hughes, Seamus Casey, Ethan Edwards recently signed his ELC. Anton Salayev, even though he's in Russia right now, a lot of people have big expectations for him. I'm excited to see what Shaw can do behind the bench with Sheldon Keefe. Yes, it's a shame that Ryan McGill's contract was not renewed because, like I said, the Devils' defense took a big stride forward. But I actually like Brad Shaw, and somebody actually reached out to me on social media and said that the Devils got a steal. Also, Brad Shaw was the interim head coach for the Flyers when John Tortorella was fired this past season. So there you go. There's some positive information regarding one of the Devils' newest assistant coaches in Brad Shaw. Hopefully, he's able to develop some of the younger defensemen in the Devils system and also some of the more established defensemen on the roster, like veteran players, including Dougie Hamilton, Brendan Dillon, you name it. So there you go. That's all you need to know about Brad Shaw for the time being. And if I'm given any more information, I will share it on this platform. But let me know your thoughts. What did you think of Jack Hughes' performance this season and also seasons prior? What solutions do you have for him to remain healthy? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X page app at TreyMatt4 or the show's X page app at Locked On Devils. As for his episode, that's all the time I have for you. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys next episode. Thanks for listening once again.